life I've barely spoken. Your words have been so broken. I've been under your hypnosis. Why did I sip that potion? I'm so done with holy ghosting. My birth, it is an omen. Lay me down up in the ocean until you see no motion. Right now I can barely focus. I'm showing no emotion. On your knees, show your devotion. My skin is black but golden. I'm not here for bragging, boasting. Ain't lying, I've been chosen. Mind is burning, heart's exploding. This is my magnum opus. Are you with me now? Said, are you with me now? Ain't felt this good in a while. They want us to simmer down. Can you hear me now? Am I going in and out? I stop and just look around to see if you're with me now. Tell me, are you with me now? Ready to put it down. Start at the bottom, already forgot them, but they won't forgive me now. You really ain't ready now. You haters just in the crowd. But still I just look around. Are you with me now? Are you with me? Step in the fire, get ready to take it higher. Real coming out your amplifier. Y'all want every black man to be rich and proud. Why these weapons up and turn into shy, huh? Cell phone became your brother. Internet replaced your mother. You leaving homies on red. It's no wonder all your friends dead. Jealousy was a centerpiece, so my best friends turned to enemies. Sabotage my identity. Why they wanna treat me like a Kennedy? They wanna affect the legacy. Protect the heart, I cut off the extremities. I'll never be another piece in your recipe for social supremacy. Are you with me now? Said, are you with me now? Ain't felt this good in a while. They want us to simmer down. Can you hear me now? Am I going in and out? I stop and just look around to see if you're with me now. Tell me, are you with me now? Ready to put it down. Start at the bottom, already forgot them, but they won't forgive me now. You really ain't ready now. You haters just in the crowd. But till I just look around, are you with me now? Are you with me now? Are you with me now? Said, are you with me now? Ain't felt this good in a while. They want us to simmer down. Can you hear me now? Am I going in and out? I stop and just look around to see if you're with me now. Tell me, are you with me now? Ready to put it down. Start at the bottom, already forgot them, but they won't forgive me now. You really ain't ready now. You haters just in the crowd, but still I just look around. Are you with me now? Are you with me now? Whoa. I feel it coming now. It's too late to shut it down. Away the mountain now. Burning the valley down. I don't know where my mind is. Don't even know what time is. Somebody stop the virus. I don't think I survived this. I feel it coming now. It's too late to shut it down. Over the mountain now. Burning the valley down. I don't know where my mind is. Don't even know what time is. Somebody stop the virus. Room full of bodies, but nothing but silence. Yeah, I'm quiet, but f*** all that shyness. Go crazy, turn this bitch into an asylum. You fly, but we ain't looking for pilots. I never bow down to a tyrant, His Highness. Even Jack said, f*** all them giants. What goes up comes down, man, that's basic science. Look at my iris and you'll see the fines. I'd rather not get involved with you. What's the problem, man? I'll solve all you sign. How you find when your time up? How you climb when your line stuck? Barbershop getting lined up. Yeah, your hair good, but your mind super clear. Uber everywhere. This sound like Superman is here. Are you with me now? Said, are you with me now? Ain't felt this good in a while. They want us to simmer down. Can you hear me now? Am I going in and out? I stop and just look around to see if you're with me now. Tell me, are you with me now? Ready to put it down. Start at the bottom, already forgot it, but they won't forgive me now. You really ain't ready now. You haters just in the crowd, but still I just look around. Are you with me now? Are you with me now?
All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Ward Radio live stream. I am your host, Cardin Ellis, and today I am joined via Zoom by none other than Jacob Hansen, and we're going to be discussing a fun, a recent happening for members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints on the interwebs. None other than Alex O'Connor going on Ruslan's podcast, and frankly choosing Mormonism. Quote, Mormonism, of course, I do believe is the quote that we got when asked to pick a jersey, as Ruslan said, based upon consistency, of scripture and history and other kind of naturalistic things that I'm sure many of our atheist brothers and sisters are concerned with and view with an eye of scrutiny towards the Bible over. So I decided to invite to this studio none other than Jacob Hansen, a man who has indeed spoken to Alex O'Connor himself, even had some debates with him that are about to come out this week, from what I understand, and who is also a wealth of knowledge on a lot of these A-level and B-level conversations, the deep stuff, you know, that you talk with the atheists on. Before we get any further and jump into talking with Jacob, I'd like to welcome all of the members. Okay, I see a lot of people jumping into the chat here. We got Dove Nest, Kyle, Mike Bell. I saw Samuel Skeen here, Descartes, Pauling Nikes. Glad to have you all here. Make sure you guys lead the charge in smashing that like button on your way in, please, if you don't mind, because today we're going to have a lot of fun, and that's how the algorithm tells everybody else on the internet that this is the place to be. Speaking of which, if you guys want to contribute to the conversation, please make sure you send us a super chat. We do our best to read all of these super chats. Ooh, swallowed a frog. We do our best to read all of the super chats as long as they are appropriate and germane to the conversation. We do our best to get through all of them. So if you got a question for Jacob, myself, or for Alex when we talk to him, who knows, you know, because he's got one foot in the font already, apparently. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to mislead the audience, you know, but yeah, if you guys get anything you want to say, please add to the conversation and we'll jump right in. So without any further ado, Jacob, what should I just play?
I'm thinking we should probably give a little bit of context.
Okay.
So people might be able to understand, at least from my perspective, why this clip was just glorious on so many levels.
Okay.
So I'll tell my fanboy story with Alex O'Connor. So I actually have followed Alex for a long time, from the time that he was the cosmic skeptic, the little snarky teenager who had his channel. And I always found his content back then kind of typical of a lot of kind of snarky atheists. So I wasn't overly impressed, but then over time, he began to engage more seriously with things. And I noticed a shift. I remember he went and talked with William Lane Craig, and they talked about the Kalam cosmological argument, which is a famous argument for God's existence. And Alex took it seriously and was kind of engaging with it in good faith, kind of steel manning. And I realized something had changed, and I started following Alex again a little more closely. And I came to realize that Alex, and he later kind of told me that there was kind of an experience where he kind of came to realize that when he was younger, he wasn't taking religious arguments seriously enough. He hadn't really sufficiently steel-manned them and understood them. And then what happened is that Alex began to talk with top-level theists and theologians, and he realized, like, wait a minute, I think I may have been engaging with a straw man version of these people's arguments and ideas. And he began to realize, while he basically moved from a sort of militant atheist into more of what he calls kind of a militant agnostic.
Okay. Okay.
So he's become more open to these things.
All right. All right.
And then, so anyway, so I kind of respected that, and I'd watch his stuff, and I always thought he was very well-spoken and took people seriously. And then I got invited to go on Jubilee. So Jubilee reached out to me, and they said they were going to be doing a 25 Christians against one atheist. And I was stoked. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And I was wondering who the atheist was going to be. And then I realized.
Wait, did Jubilee Media just admit you're a Christian?
Yes, they did.
that was
Okay.
Probably very much to the chagrin of the 24 others that were chosen, I assume, right?
Oh, just you wait until you see. I'm going to tell the story of what happened at Jubilee on this podcast, because everyone's going to see it, but they're going to see the edited version. It comes out on Sunday. That's when Jubilee has notified us that they're going to release our episode. So on this Sunday, watch out for Jubilee.
Oh, did they promise you a full copy of the entire thing afterwards too?
No, they did not. Oh, by the way, if my eyes look weird, I literally have no idea why. I have not been smoking marijuana. I don't know if I'm
Look,
like
you just got out of a debate with Alex O'Connor. You got two black eyes. None of us are gonna, we don't besmirch you for it. All right. No, I'm just kidding. Keep going.
So anyway, I get invited to go on to Jubilee. And I thought it might be Alex O'Connor, so I did a lot of research on Alex's arguments prior
Oh,
to.
really?
Yeah, no, I spent a lot of time looking into it, and Hayden Carroll joined me as well. So there were two of us, two Latter-day Saints in this thing. Now, people have to watch, but being there, my impression was, just so you guys know, the Christians got murdered. Alex O'Connor,
no.
like, it was bad, you guys.
No,
like,
the Christians got just
they
Donkey
got
Kong
whooped.
stomped.
Like, it was bad.
They're cooked.
But there were two guys in that group, I think, that held their own, and it was myself and Hayden Carroll. And now, okay, maybe I'm just tooting my horn and being, we did well. But here's the thing. At the end of the episode, and I'm wondering if they're going to show this. So at the end, first of all, no one in the 25 people knew that I was a Latter-day Saint or Hayden. We did not have to say what denomination we were from or anything. And then, so at the end, Alex gets to choose one person from the 25 people that he wants to like challenge, right? Because he has to make a statement and then we get to go up and like challenge it, right? But then it's his turn to turn around. He picks one person that he gets to go up against and he gets to challenge them.
Okay.
And guess who he chose?
Oh, it's got to be you, dog.
He chose me.
Okay.
He's like that fellow seems to be fairly philosophical, and I enjoyed his comments. Like, why don't you come up here? And I was like,
all right.
I was literally like blown away. I was like, oh my gosh, like, dude, this is crazy. Like, I thought it was just cool. I was gonna get to interact with Alex at all, and like he chose me to do this. So it was cool. And again, I'm fanboying here. But I go up and dude,
you're fanboying over an atheist. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I've liked Alex. I thought he was a good guy for a long time. It was funny when he walked into the room, all of the Christians started clapping. We were all super excited that it was him. A lot of us thought it was going to be him. And because we actually appreciate Alex because he doesn't straw man people's religions. He tries his best to contend with the best arguments. So anyway, he calls me up. Now here's where it gets crazy. Okay. There are 10 million people that watch Jubilee.
Okay.
10 million subscribers. Okay. I think this video is going to get over 10 million views. That's going to come out.
All right.
Okay. I get a chance to go up and I have to make a positive claim. And then Alex gets a chance to attack it. So I'm thinking, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do something bold. I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to do it. So I went
What'd you do?
In front of 25 other Christians or 24 other Christians in a circle with 10 million people watching. Every Christian on YouTube is going to watch this. And my claim was the restored gospel of Jesus Christ, also known as Mormonism, is the most logically coherent version of Christianity there is.
Oh.
Dude, you should have heard. I don't know if they're going to edit it out. There were literal gasps from the people.
You just walked in and basically dropped that their creeds are an abomination in modern speak.
That's basically what I did. I said, dude, as I walked up, I knew I had an idea of what I was going to say.
So zero diplomacy, bunker buster Moab in front of a bunch of Christians. You literally just say,
if they don't edit this out, every Christian on YouTube is going to watch me go up and say that our version of Christianity is more like rationally coherent than any other.
Well, apparently he agrees with you based off of this.
Again,
clip.
That's the thing. So that's part of the context. Okay, this story continues. I'm telling you, everything Alex was saying in this little thing that everyone has was connected to my conversation in this Jubilee episode. Because here's what happens. We do our thing. People can watch how it goes. I think I held my own against Alex. I'm not going to say I like owned him, but he didn't know a lot about Mormonism. And anyway, the thing ends. I'm just elated. I'm like, dude, this is so cool. I was on Jubilee. I got to go. Alex invited me to do this. I got to basically tell every Christian that we're the best. In front of the whole world.
Oh man, okay.
Like, I was just like, this is so cool. It can't get any better than this. And then Alex comes up to me. We're done shooting. We're kind of all in the after thing.
Yeah.
He comes up to me and says, he's like, hey, would you like to go and get something to eat?
Wait, you were doing the accent before, though. Was it,
I know.
no, keep trying. It's like, it's 50-50.
He comes up with his accent, and his accent is so smooth. That Oxford accent is just beautiful. So he comes up and he's like, well, some of us are going to be going out to get something, maybe go to a pub or something. Would you like to join us? And I'm like, yes. I felt like I literally, and it's so dumb. I'm sorry to be such a fanboy, but I was literally like, you ever have that thing where you get to meet someone that you really admire online, and then they're like, "Oh, you're cool. Let's go hang out together." Like that literally was like what happened.
Okay, cool.
I was like,
rock on.
I was
Okay.
like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy.
Okay.
And then I end up, he had invited, I think maybe like 10 of us or 15 of us from the show to come and go out to eat afterwards. And so we go there, and it just so happens, I wasn't like gunning for it or something, but it just so happens I ended up sitting right across from him in this group.
Okay.
So me and Hayden sitting right next to me. We spent I can't remember. I think we got there on like 6 or 7. We were there until they closed at, when they closed at midnight, we were still talking, and they closed up, and we like left. But during that time, we talked about theology, philosophy, the nature of God. And he was just the coolest, most down-to-earth guy. I was a little bit of a fanboy before, but when I actually got to know the guy, I was shocked. He's one of my favorite people I've ever just like had a conversation with on these topics. Very smart, very open-minded. Just, it was great. And there were 3 facts that I brought up that he had never heard before, that he kind of was like, oh my gosh. And they were that Joseph Smith was was running for president. He didn't know that. And that he was the first presidential candidate to be assassinated. He didn't know that. He then, when I also said, and
well, why is that significant to you?
Well,
out of all of the factoids. Okay.
When we watch the video, you'll see why. Another thing that I brought up was I told him about the extermination order, because I was talking about, we've had a lot of persecution, and we're talking about the different kind of stuff. And I told him about the Missouri extermination order. He's like, wait. He's like, you mean that in the United States, there was once a time when you could kill Mormons? And I was like, yep. Like, he was like, that's unbelievable. And then I told him, what was the other thing we talked about? We talked about Book of Mormon witnesses. I'm sitting there surrounded by all these Christians, and they're trying to like kind of dig at me. I'm like, well, you do realize that we have more written eyewitness accounts of the gold plates than these guys do of the resurrection.
Okay.
And Alex was kind of like, oh, like, what do you guys think of that? So now, with that in mind, okay, with all this context in mind, let's watch what he says, and you'll see why I was going, oh my gosh, he remembered. I would say let's roll the clip.
Okay, cool. Well, then what I'll do here is pull up said clip. For anybody that's wondering, this is the title of the clip. It's right here. I'll put it up in front of everybody. Is Alex O'Connor Confronts Me on Defending Wes Huff is the name of the video, and it's on the YouTube channel Ruslan KD, which he's a fellow Californian here. I've reached out to him to see if he wanted to do some kind of collab or something like that, but I'm sure he gets insane amounts of incoming correspondence, as do I. I'm not expecting him to have seen this, but who knows? Maybe hopefully someday soon we can talk to him, but it looks like he talked to your boy. And we're going to tee up the clip right here. Go, Ruslan.
Subsequently, what follows the resurrection of Jesus and the church that is planted and started. So that's fascinating. Okay. Do you let me see if I can hit some of these super chats with while you're here before we wrap. Thank you for doing this, Alex. I appreciate you. Hopefully we do this someday in person. Here's an interesting one from Deadpool. He said, Alex, if you had to join one Christian denomination, which do you believe has the most consistency according to the history of the church and scripture? Uh-oh. This is where Alex will have to pick a jersey.
Mormonism, of course.
Oh my gosh. Pause it.
Okay. All right.
Hold on. Couple thoughts on this. The first is that, remember, that was my contention. When he called me up, the claim that I made is that Mormonism is the most logically consistent one. Now, granted, he's trolling them. Okay. Alex doesn't know enough about our religion, I think, to even make that claim, and he wouldn't. But they kind of put him on the spot, so he kind of is like, well, I'm going to say Mormonism just to kind of troll you guys and to get a little, see how you guys react to it. And it's hilarious how he reacts.
Okay. Well, also, is what was the question? Like, we're going to go back and we're going to re-listen to the question here so that all of us can remember, like, what is the specific question that he is answering. And it was this.
You believe has the most consistency according to the history of the church and scripture.
Okay, so which denomination do you think has the most consistency according to the history of the church and scripture? So what he's asking for is consistency here, which is, frankly, if I'm not mistaken, the basis of most of the atheistic arguments that defer to science. Consistent naturalistic observation is the basis of the scientific method, and those that are very proof heavy, like show me the proof of X, show me the proof of Y, what's the proof of the resurrection? You know, there's an argument that, okay, you're not going to consistently retest miracles, okay? But at the same token, if you're asking people to believe things that have never been observed or can't be repeatably observed, for some people, that's a bridge too far, and that's a stretch, right? So the criteria of the question was pretty simple, consistency. And then he says the following.
This is where Alex would have to pick a jersey.
Mormonism, of course.
Oh my God.
Okay, so now it's funny. Right now it's just funny.
That's amazing.
But you'll notice, I want you to watch Ruslan's face. Because though there was definitely some humor, and by the way, tell me if I was wrong on this, if you got a different read, Jacob, but I got a read that, like, okay, yeah, it was funny. Like, there was definitely some humor there, but at the same time, like, I'm about to tell you the serious ramifications of the joke that I just said, right?
That's exactly it. And you can see that, and Ruslan's face goes from this like, oh, ha, 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 we're going to make fun of the Mormons. That's great. I'm with you, Alex. Like, let's make fun of those guys. Yeah. And then it changes, and his face is like, wait, no, we don't.
No,
we don't.
No.
Yeah.
It's like that meme.
There, Alex.
You know the Princess Amidala meme? Like, then we're going to raid the castle because we're the good guys that always win, right? Wait, we're the good guys, right? You know, it's just like, it's literally just like the meme. Okay, so we're gonna let it play for another couple minutes here. Actually, not a couple minutes, another couple seconds.
We don't consider them Christians. Give me another one.
No, well, that's the interest.
Okay. So of course, we don't consider them the Christians. Now you'll notice
he wants to get away from it. You see what he's doing? He says, "No, you got to pick another one. Like you can't be with those guys."
Well, also, that's simply just, what's the logical fallacy that's called? Usually they have just an appeal to authority. You know what I'm saying? Just to dismiss it out of without having to deal with it. But you'll notice here, they don't give a why, but Alex O'Connor's going to give a why. And before we play the rest of this clip, I actually want to give you credit, Jacob. You actually said all of this in the last video that we recorded with you about Wes Huff and Billy Carson. And after we watch this clip, I'm going to play the intro of like 2 or 3 videos ago where you predicted, guys, if you dismiss us through scoffery without talking to us, if you talk about us but not with us, you're going to end up looking like Billy Carson to anybody that wants to back up their opinions and their thoughts and their judgments with any kind of facts or figures or data, and you're going to end up looking bad. And you'll notice that, unfortunately, here, Ruslan, I want to do a collaboration with you, bro. Christians out there, we got nothing but love for you. You're fellow members of the body of Christ. We want to be cool with you. But if your only appeal is to either authority or scoffery, when people like stop and say, okay, it's time to get serious, you're going to end up looking bad. And I kind of feel like he looked a little bit bad here. I don't want to rub it in his face or anything, but I feel like it looked a little bit bad. So we're going to play the rest of the clip here. Actually, I'll go back a couple of seconds just so people can see it in context.
You believe has the most consistency according to the history of the church and scripture. This is where Alex would have to pick a jersey.
Mormonism, of course.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
We don't consider them Christians. Give me another one.
No, well, that's the interesting thing is that they're sort of often not. I don't even know if they really like to consider themselves Christians as such. I think there's some really interesting.
Actually.
I've been learning a lot about Mormonism. Do you know, by the way, who the first ever U.S. presidential candidate to be assassinated was?
He was a Mormon.
It was Joseph Smith.
Whoa.
Oh, he was a candidate? Joseph Smith was running for the United
Yeah,
That's
he ran
interesting.
for president.
Wow.
There's a lot of really interesting stuff about.
What do you feel about Daniel?
Pause for a second.
Okay.
No, that's where'd he get that fact?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and keep going, and you'll notice the things he talks about. He talks about all the stuff that we talked about. It's
Yeah.
like I was listening to this going, holy cow, Alex remembered.
Yeah, and so, well, I was also going to say you should have seen his face like, oh yeah, it's a Mormon, right? Because we're going to joke about him. Oh. And to me, that's a little bit of a wake-up call for these guys. Like, what's the number one rule of anti-Mormonism? That they never refute Scripture, they only fulfill it. And I can't help but think of the first chapter and not first chapter, but the first section of Doctrine and Covenants. What's the first verse say? That the church will come out of darkness to light. Right? And I really do feel like the rise of atheism and atheism 2.0, yeah, there's the corner of it that just descended into wokeism and all of us can't stand it and so on and so forth. But there's this other corner of it that has started demanding naturalistic observation of religious phenomena. It's why New Age is also getting a lot bigger, is because people recognize, just like Jordan Peterson has recognized, and just like so many of these other big male podcasters have realized, that we are all religious. Like, we're all religious, and either it descends into a woke religion or else it is a regular denominational religion, or like, how do we manage this need to have religion in our lives? Okay. And as people assess that, they're going to defer to coping mechanisms that they're used to. And in a very atheistic society, we all kind of have the scientific method as a backbone for how we investigate things. We want evidence. And all history is basically an approach to historical documents in the same way that modern cops and investigators approach crime scenes, okay? We want phenomena that's repeatable. We want to know, well, what's reliable? Is this a camera or is this a witness testimony? Sometimes witness testimonies can be bad. Well, especially when there's time or there's animus or there's motivations involved. So we all have learned to check our own histories and so on and so forth. And that's when strengths of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and consistencies in doctrine, such as the fact that there's more witnesses for the golden plates and the miraculous phenomenon through the witnesses, the 11 to 19 people that all testified and never went back on that testimony about about their witness of the gold plates. Yeah, sure, there's people that had falling out with Joseph Smith. Sure, there's people that ended up being excommunicated from the church and so on and so forth. But of those witnesses in the beginning of the Book of Mormon, like they did not deny to their dying days, writing it on some of their own gravestones, okay, that what they saw and heard and the places that they felt were true and real. And this is exactly what some of the Christians try and not resort to, but refer to when trying to prove, okay, the witness of the early apostles and the early Christian fathers and so on and so forth. So when people start approaching religion with fresh eyes, like Alex does, or many people like him, Mormons, as they call us, or members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we're in a really, really good spot because those witnesses, that's unimpeachable. And you can say very strong and bold statements like there is more evidence for the golden plates than there was for the resurrection, and that raises eyebrows and makes people think, wow, holy smoke. So anyway, I'm going to keep playing the clip here. Let's see what they said. There's a boring banter about Dan McClellan. I'll just sum it up really fast. Alex O'Connor respects Dan McClellan because he separates his religion from his scholarship. And then now back into the fun part about Mormonism, if I've been reading the transcript correctly.
Mormonism, but I think Mormonism's a fascinating religion in many ways. A lot of people aren't aware of its history and also of a lot of its doctrines and theological ideas and its different idea about like what God is and all of this kind of stuff. And the history of persecution of Mormons in the United States is pretty amazing too. You know, like there's so much really interesting stuff. The extermination order of Missouri, where like people were told to just kill them. You know, like it's an unbelievable history. And of course, Joseph Smith dies in a shootout in prison. Like it's one of the most dramatic stories of world religion.
Pause right there for 1 second. The shootout at the local jail part. That's a trope he picked up from his buddy Trent Horn. Obviously, I'd love to talk with Alex about that. It's not categorizing that as a shootout at a local jail is.
Yeah, it was a man fighting for his life as a mob was shooting at him point blank through a door. I don't know if I call it a shootout.
All he did was, as the mob approached, he shot what he had, and then he, against 50 people that were coming after him to help save him and his friend's life. Like, that's not a shootout exactly. It wasn't like they were like he got 2 of them and they got 2 of them and they were going back and forth and no.
Yeah.
He did shoot at the mob as they came up the stairs. They all ran downstairs and
this wasn't Val Kilmer at the OK Corral, all right? This wasn't freaking Tombstone 1996, okay? And by the way, here's that face. Like there's that face where Ruslan realizes, oh crap. Whoa, he's actually talking him up. Okay, no, this, no, I predict he's going to want to end this real soon. I don't know where we are in the clip.
One thing more on this, is that, see, here's what's happening in this conversation and why Ruslan's face is so like, oh no, this isn't good. It's because Alex is taking us seriously. The problem is that's all I want. I don't care if people believe or don't believe what we have. But when you're not even willing to examine it with the same seriousness that you examine creedal Christianity, that's pure bigotry. That has nothing to do with our actual beliefs. It means you don't understand, because as atheists find out, like my friend Emerson Green, who's actually friends with Alex, by the way. In fact, Emerson Green posted this clip and he said, Alex, like, welcome to the dark side or welcome to the club or something. Because Emerson thinks that Mormonism is the most plausible form of Christianity. He's been on record saying that.
Interesting.
And so, and I found that when you actually talk to an atheist, you say, look, you're not in the Christians versus Mormon debate, but you can judge from the outside. Does the Trinity, for instance, make more sense than
ex nihilo is knucking futs? Like like Trinitarian math is worse than girl math on TikTok. Okay. Like seriously, it's just credist math that makes no sense. It's where woke comes from, forcing people to believe in nonsensical creeds that make no sense, that it's everything and nothing, while simultaneously being above and below, while male and female, but not either. Like, where do you think this chaos came from?
Here's our weird situation we're in. Atheists who are open-minded and who are willing to take religion seriously are our best friends. Because you know what they'll do? They'll side with us every single time.
When there's a standard, and the standard just isn't an appeal to, not an appeal to authority, but an appeal to population. Like, well, that's what we say, and that's what we've always said, and we're the ones that are in charge. Right? Yep. And literally, it's like woke gets angry when you have wrong think, and it wants to cancel you when you are guilty of wrong think. And your only crime isn't an actual measurably quantifiable crime. It's just that you went against the hive mind, and how dare you, and you deserve to lose everything. That's the way creedal Christianity in North America has behaved socially, and that's why guys like Ruslan, I can't remember how to pronounce his name, but they can say like, oh yeah, we don't consider them Christians here, and expect everybody to move along because we the Christians have said that. But no, that doesn't work with atheists. That doesn't work with everybody else who grew up remembering the Christian rights bigotry in the 80s and 90s. That doesn't work anymore. And all of a sudden they're caught off guard because they have no coping mechanisms. They don't know how to handle members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, if not through scoffery.
Yeah. And now I will say this though, I'll be very aware. A lot of these atheists will say, yeah, you're right, Mormons. Pine Creek, for instance, he has a show. I actually like him. hardcore atheist, and he'll say there's better evidence for Mormonism than there is for creedal Christianity. He'll just say it straight up. And he's correct. Now, he makes that point being like, we all agree that Mormonism is crazy. Therefore, if they have better evidence than you, then that means that your Christianity is even more irrational than Mormonism, and therefore you need to abandon it. But we say, no, Christianity actually makes a good case. We just make an even better case. And so we have this weird alliance that we can form. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in my mind, I don't care if you're an atheist or not. If someone is out there saying, hey, Christians, do you realize that Latter-day Saints have a very compelling theology, a very compelling history? Well, yeah, history even, because it's miraculous, but they have more witnesses than you do. You know, that's a good thing. And we should look to, if I'm with an atheist, my thing is this. Atheists, I'd love to talk to you about the debates about God, but also help me out for a minute. Are we crazier than other Christians? And what's funny is that when you have that conversation, I'm like I'll ask him this. Name another Christian denomination that you think is more logically consistent and rational than the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Like, try and defend it. And they can't, because they aren't. Like, I'm sorry, like you said, ex nihilo, nuts. The Trinity, nuts. Biblical inerrancy, nuts. Well, and the thing is, that's what Alex goes after with the creedal Christians. So I'm like, yes, good. Expose that.
But also, my thing is this. I don't care if it's nuts. Believe in your nuts. Dude, I live in LA. We all have our crazy. We all have our crazy. One of my buddies came down here to become a cinematographer, and he was really, really worried about, like, I don't know, being persecuted for being a conservative or a Christian or a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I said, look, dude, everything you see on Fox News, it's garbage. They're not stringing up conservatives, you know, here and crucifying us in the public square. Like, you'll do just fine. You know, I mean, I wouldn't go around telling people to go in hell for X, Y, or Z reason, like, you know, the Christian right did in the 80s and 90s that made them so insufferable. But look, just come down here. There's a lot of people. You don't think you can't get lost in the crowd. You're going to have tons of fun. You'll make a career. Come on down. Come on down. And when he came down, he said, you know what? He realized, he says, I actually never had an issue and I was just fine. Okay. Because he said, I realized here on set, everybody has their crazy. In Hollywood, everybody has their crazy. The sound guy's a vegan, and he's willing to tell you all about it. You know what I'm saying? The makeup artist, you know, might be gay, might be transgender. That's their thing. And then the director, he's like a French weirdo that's into, like, I don't know, bicycling and always wears awkward spandex pants early. And then there's the one person that's trying to, like, not wash their hair for like a year because apparently their body oils make it better, and all they do is smell weird if you're too close to them on set. But hey, good for you and the body oils, right? Everybody's got their crazy, but since everybody has their crazy, they don't really try and judge other people for it, because, you know, it's pluralism and diversity at its best. All right. And so he didn't have a problem with it. So I don't have a problem with anybody's crazy. I don't have a problem with anybody having a crazy belief. Dude, believe the weirdest thing you want, man. You think reincarnation, you think yoga, you think whatever, like, think whatever you want. But just don't enforce your dogma on others through cancel culture, scoffery, and cruelty. Or else then you're not somebody who just believes something crazy. You're a mean and cruel bigot. And that's my beef with the way modern Christianity has been behaving. They've gone further than believing the crazy. They've started saying, oh, and you're not a Christian unless you believe my specific brand of crazy. That's where I get pissed. And it seems like Alex O'Connor, in a very unique way, has been able to pierce through that fog. All right. So anyway, I'm sorry. I veer verbose.
No, go ahead. Go and let's finish up the clip, because it's funny, because watch what he does. He wants to get out of it. He's like, he's not enjoying this conversation.
Who's the he? You mean Ruslan or Ruslan?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. We're going to keep playing. Go.
Of course, it remains the case that we have, because it's so new, we have better eyewitness testimony to Moroni and the plates than we do, unfortunately, to the resurrection of Jesus, it seems. But that was also a point that raised some eyebrows in my original video, which I found quite entertaining.
Yeah. Alex, let me ask you this, because these questions are kind of all the same.
Oh, that's a tough pill to swallow.
Like, let's change the subject.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Wait. Okay.
Abort.
Because he knows Alex O'Connor has done his homework, so his statement is unimpeachable. And it is unimpeachable that we have more evidence, more eyewitness accounts, more everything that people consider hard evidence, primary sources for the gold plates than we do for the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Yet the people whom we should be sharing our affinity for the resurrection of Jesus Christ with keep trying to kick us out of the club because they don't like that we don't follow their specific dogmatic version of the nonsensical creeds. And this is where we actually get along with atheists, because when Christians try and say, oh yeah, you're dumb because you don't believe what? We're not allowed to believe. There's a virgin birth of the universe over there, but the virgin birth over here, that's one bridge too far.
That's what I think atheists, what they can really help do. They can, you can say, is there a double standard here with us? Like, they're like, and the atheist is going to look at him and be like, yes, it's obvious and it's ridiculous. Like, you guys talk about, oh, an angel appeared to Moroni, appeared to Joseph Smith, and then all the Christians are like, that's so ridiculous. Meanwhile, the atheist is like, don't you guys believe in like Marian apparitions and like...
Yeah. Yeah, double standard. That was the word I've been looking for this whole time, but you're so much more philosophical than I. So good job. All right, so do we keep playing? Or I think it ends right there.
I think it ends right there.
Yeah, okay.
That's his abort, and then he's able to get off the topic, but it's hilarious because you can see that he's just like, oh no, Alex is taking Mormonism seriously. He's not willing to laugh at it with the rest of us. Abort. In fact, he's actually saying they have better witnesses than us. Like,
Yeah, and he knows it because he knows the kind of person that Alex O'Connor is now, at least, as of late. And man, that is a tough pill to swallow. Similarly, tough pill to swallow to you saying their creeds are an abomination, basically, in front of them to their faces. No wonder you get along with Alex O'Connor, man. That is savage. Dude,
that is the most bold thing I've ever done in my life, and everyone needs to stick around to the end of the Jubilee episode to see if they edit that out or something. But you have to remember that episode, every Christian on the freaking internet is going to watch we're doing an atheists against Christians. It's Alex O'Connor. Anyone in this world of Christian apologetics is going to watch that video, and they're going to watch me go up.
Well, it all depends who directs it, because I know they subcontract out individual directors for individual episodes. That's not always the same guy. And if your guy is more interested in making Christians look bad, then he would probably want to augment the times when Alex O'Connor kind of dunks on them and makes them look stupid. And since he didn't make you look stupid, you might just hit the editing room floor. If he's editing for entertainment value, then sure, some of those, tits for tats or those bold statements on all fronts might make it into the final cut. But you guys sit there we sat there for 3 hours when I was on it. You were there for probably 3 hours as well, I'd assume, right?
Yeah.
Final product is what, 45 minutes, 50 minutes? So 66% of the stuff has to go. So, okay, let me just hit a couple of super chats before we go any further. Just so you guys know, his name is Jacob Hansen. He runs the podcast and the Facebook group called Thoughtful Faith. He can be found on Twitter at Thoughtful Saint if you guys want to hit him up there. We're streaming on all platforms right now. I'm going to try and read some of the best comments from every one, starting with some super chats here. Prodigal Son Matt says the best part is the evangelical smug watching the best part is the evangelical smug laugh disappearing as Alex keeps talking. Yes, we all saw that kind of go away real fast. And it was a beautiful thing to watch. Roy Anderson, member for 9 months. Thanks, my man, says, Exmo Anti-Mormon says through tears and banging fists on desks, but no scholar or philosopher worth their salt thinks the Mormon church is legit at all. Meanwhile, as it comes out of darkness to light, especially if you are a trained historian, those early witnesses are gold.
Well,
no pun intended.
Another thing that comes up in this is, again, it's that idea of you can caricature Christianity too. Okay. It's very, very easy to do. It's, God sacrificed himself to himself in order to save us from what he was going to do to us if we didn't obey him. It's like, yeah, you can do that. You can say, oh, well, yeah, real good story, Mary. You go get knocked up and then you're like, oh, actually it was God that did it.
Sky Daddy, Sky Daddy.
Sky Daddy.
Yeah.
Like, you can do this. You can take any religion and just not take it seriously and kind of ignore all the best sort of arguments and evidence and why people take it seriously. You can do that. And that's what people do with Latter-day Saints. And the moment I don't ask people to do anything except for just give us the chance, take it seriously, really dig in open-mindedly, listen to the best arguments. And if you don't believe, you don't believe. But nobody does that. And the reality is when people do that, they come away with a very different opinion of us.
You said doo-doo. I'm sorry. This is Ward Radio. So anyway, another super chat really fast from a yak named Max. W in the chat now. Yes, that's right. Must have had somebody join. I'm going to see who it is. Paulie Nike says, Jacob Hansen trolls so hard and is our Nevada Highlander. There can only be one. All right, so you're a Nevada Highlander, my man. Good job, bro. Then Chai Hodson says, this is so ridiculously cool, and I can't wait for Sunday. Well done, bro. Hanson, I hereby grant you the Porter Rockwell Award for epic awesomeness. All right.
I'll take that one. Porter Rockwell, yes.
Yeah, we started a new award yesterday over JD Vance's kids that just were no longer having any more of the inauguration and just like started falling asleep on the pews and like dangling over the podiums. Like, it was the most hilarious. Any parent that's gone through sacrament meeting knows exactly what it's like. And JD Vance's poor wife trying to keep them like still somewhat enthusiastic for the photo op. There's a kid who literally puts his head down and leans over totally bored in front of Donald Trump, the president of the United States that just won one of the most groundbreaking elections in like world history. One of the most epic comebacks, and he's like, dude, I am so tired of this. Like, give me my YouTube kids. I want out of here. And it was like, my mother always said that kids are the great equalizer, and I loved watching JD Vance and his wife have to deal with that. It was so cute. It was adorable. It was hilarious. So thank you, Chai. Paulie Nike's back says, oh, they're going so fast here. Elon's elite gamer reputation is fraudulent. And both Quinn69TV and Asmongold were 100% correct with their takedown of Elam's Path of Exile 2 play/drama. I have no idea what that is.
Yeah,
but
it's something like, apparently he's being exposed that he's not that good at the game that he's like 7th in the world for, and now everyone's like he's a scammer or something. So I don't know.
I don't know how he has time to play.
The gamers are into it.
Yeah. Okay, read it, Book of Mormon. It's not just the Book of Mormon witnesses that are better, but the minimal facts, the logic and argument used to defend the resurrection and the Book of Mormon are better. And another thing that I always say to fellow Christians, where I'm like, at worst, we are your Samaritans. Like, at best, we're fellow members of the body of Christ who have an additional testament to the resurrection of Jesus Christ that should pique your interest if you love Jesus Christ. If not, just as apocrypha, for heaven's sake, okay? But at worst, we are your Samaritans. And both of these deserve better treatment than you're giving us now, right? And the criterion of embarrassment is another huge thing that they're constantly referencing in their proof of the resurrection and proof of the historicity of Jesus Christ and so on and so forth. And I think right now in modern North America, you don't lose anything by being a Christian in the public square. You don't risk anything. You risk something if you admit you're a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It cost Mitt Romney his election. Is so many anti-Mormon evangelicals didn't show up on election day, and they cited his Mormonism as a reason that they would not vote for him. So we got an entire another 4 years. We got Obamacare. Actually, I can't remember if I'm getting my years right on that. I'll have to fact check myself.
I think Obamacare was second term.
Was second term? Okay, yeah. We were saddled with Obamacare and all of those labor law changes and everything. All the socialist stuff really went down in Barack Obama's second term, and we got all of that, frankly, because bigoted evangelicals didn't want to show up and vote for values. They wanted to show up and vote for football teams and their denominational sports that are enforced through creeds instead of values, doctrine, and scripture really cost North America. Their bigotry cost us all. And so, whether it's minimal facts, whether it's a criterion of embarrassment, I think right now you don't risk anything by being a Christian. That's the most electable thing out there. You risk something as an atheist still, I believe. I believe it's less taboo now to be an atheist who's running for office. And of course, I am just using political examples here because they're most accessible for everybody in the audience. But you don't risk anything by being a mainline Christian who's running for office. No, you're just part of the majority that rules already. So read a Book of Mormon. I think you bring up a good point here. LDS Peregrine says, Alex was my favorite atheist channel when I was an atheist. I went down the same road and got baptized. I pray he sees the truth in the church too. Hey, what I always tell the atheists is, watch out, bro. Watch out, because sooner or later you'll realize when you're studying the criterion of embarrassment, when you're studying minimal facts, when you're studying creation ex materia instead of creation ex nihilo, and all of these other problems of evil, for example, that only the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and Joseph Smith's cosmology can't explain, pre-existence, free will, free agency, when all of that math philosophically starts adding up, you will reach a point where you realize the only true test of whether or not this is true or not is actually asking for a miraculous experience, which is Moroni's promise in Moroni 10:4. And if you do that and you have that prayerful experience with a humble heart, sorry, bro, you will be made a believer by God. You know,
everybody who's watching this, tune into my channel, Thoughtful Faith, on Saturday. I'm going to be dropping Hayden Carroll, who is on the Jubilee with me, good friend of mine. He did a really good analysis of Alex O'Connor's discussion with, Francis Collins, who is an atheist who turned Christian.
Interesting.
Really famous. He's involved in the Human Genome Project, absolutely brilliant scientist. And they talk about sort of various religious things. And it's funny because in that conversation, Alex says, he's asked, what would convince you? Like, what would make you a Christian? And now most people answer that question by saying, I would become a Christian if, a famous one, Pine Creek uses this one. He says, if you take this wet napkin and you turn it on fire, like, then I'd believe, right? But what's his name? Trent Horn actually brilliantly points out, Trent is wonderful, just so you guys know, even though I disagree with him on a lot of things, he has a lot of great points. He made the point that that's a God of the gaps argument. You're saying that, okay, this thing caught on fire, I can't explain it, therefore God must have done it, right? And so he says that's a bad argument from the atheist. And Alex knows that. So Alex is smarter than the other atheists. And he goes, no, for me to believe, it wouldn't be a miracle. It's not going to be any argument. It's not like I'm going to read in some book and be like, that's it. I just didn't, it's the Kalam cosmological argument. God does exist. He said, no, it would be a religious experience. It would basically be personal revelation, as we call it.
Yeah.
And so it was really cool to see that he realized that. And the best atheist out there recognizes that the epistemology of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for coming to know spiritual truth is actually the strongest philosophical argument for how to actually come to know that God exists.
Oh, interesting. So you think repeat that last phrase again, the strongest philosophical argument for the belief or for the epistemology or the theory of knowledge. Like, how can you know that God exists? He basically said the best argument for that is not from evidence. It's from an experience with God. That's going to be the thing that he said would be the thing that could push him over the edge to become a believer, would be some sort of a divine, an experience with the divine, what we call personal revelation. Is that the way it is with you would say, personally?
Personally? Absolutely. 100%. The core of my testimony is not, the arguments are they are a necessary but not sufficient condition, as you would say in philosophy. They are necessary for me to believe. I can't just go based on hey, I had this experience, because I have to interpret that experience. And so evidence helps me in that. But at the core of it is I've had experiences with the divine that have witnessed directly to me in a way that I can't convey to you. I have to say, come and see. Like it's like me trying to explain a song to you. I've heard a song and it's the most beautiful song in the whole world. I can't tell you about it. I can't argue for it. You just have to go and listen to the music. And if you come to this place and you do these things and you live this certain way, you'll hear it. And if you're not stubborn, you'll realize that this is what I want and that this is where God is. This is where light and truth and goodness and all of that is. And that's a spiritual witness. And it's in my studies of epistemology, if you watch my series on it, my last video on it is about that. It's that the actual root of knowledge, all knowledge, is direct experience. That is actually where knowledge comes from. It's not your eyes, it's something that you almost can't put into words. It's like you encounter something that is real outside of yourself. So it's kind of a long subject, but Alex recognized that basically to know God, you can't, like, the evidence isn't going to do it.
Okay, and that was great. I'm gonna have to make a YouTube short out of that last 3 minutes. That was some good stuff, my man.
Well, they allow 3-minute shorts now, so now you can actually include my rambles that are a little long.
Sign me up, man. Okay, so Snagrit says we can't forget we also have several other witnesses of the resurrected Jesus Christ, in addition to witnesses of the gold plates and Moroni. Thank you very much for the super chat, Snagrit. And a yak named Max comes back again and says, if Alex were to become LDS, what do you think would happen in the atheist and Christian world? Well, that's a pretty big if, but I don't know. It's a hypothetical. What do you think would happen, Jacob?
If you thought people were screeching when Donald Trump first got elected, like, like it'd be something like that, but maybe worse.
I remember one time, like, somebody had super chatted and said, oh, Kwaku, he's just a couple of years on his way out. When people start asking these questions, they're always just on their way out or whatever. I remember him saying, it was sometime between shows or something. He's like, oh, man. He's like, I could never do the way I've argued with some of these people. Like, he's like, what they would do to me afterwards. Like, oh, man, like, never. I could never, right? It was funny. So Luke Hansen says, oh, I just landed in D.C. I can hop on if you want. Oh, hey. Should Luke join the party? Jacob, it's up to you.
In.
You're our guest of honor. Okay.
Although I don't want to take up too much time. I don't know how long we're planning on going tonight. But yeah, Luke, if you can jump in.
Oh, we're on 58 minutes. I usually try and stop somewhere between 60 and 90. So
okay, sounds good. Have him jump in for the last little bit.
Okay, so Luke, as long as your sound is good, Luke, your sound has to be good. But he's got a laptop, it'll work. So LDS Response says Jubilee is a full contact sport, physically and mentally, making Jacob is a logical champion. What do you say to that, my man?
Thank you. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I thought Hayden and I did well. I'm not going to claim that we like owned Alex, but I think compared to the others on the channel, we did a good job.
Okay. And Jonah Barnes, says awesome. Oh, Asimov. It's Isaac Asimov. That's how you say it in North America. When you learn another language, dude, it just ruins. It just ruins your pronunciation of like almost everything that you remembered from before. So Asimov said the Bible is the greatest recruiter for atheism. Jacob is the greatest recruiter for Christ. Who would win fist to fist, Jacob or Joseph? Would you take on the prophet of the restoration, my friend?
No, he'd whoop me.
Are you sure?
I don't know, maybe. Yeah, no, he'd beat me. He'd whip me up good. He was tall. He was strong. He had the power of God with him. I would get wrecked, man. There's a chance against Brother Joseph.
Dude, could you imagine what Joseph Smith would be like in the YouTube world? Like,
dude,
atheist wrecked by vision of angels.
So, no, I was studying, and I think I sent it to you guys one day. We got to find the quote. I sent a story that I found about Joseph Smith. I'm reading a book about his the people who knew him. I think it's called They Knew the Prophet. It's a great book. Has all these stories about him from the people who knew him personally. And you kind of get a portrait of who he was. There's a very common theme. Joseph Smith was one of the boys. Like, Joseph Smith liked to like joke around and like mess around. And he was like a Ward Radio kind of dude. And he and the boomers kind of got mad at him over it, like the boomers of his day. There's this really funny story about he was once like playing ball with the boys or something, and he was kind of making jokes and kind of acting, and this lady was like, this, you know, this isn't befitting of a prophet of God or something like that. And it's funny, she said he told a story. He said, there's a hunter, and this hunter had a bow, a really good hunting bow that he used. And someone came and asked him, do you always keep your bow strung? And he said, of course not. Otherwise it loses its spring. And he said something on the lines of, sometimes I have to unstring my bow. And I was like, that's awesome. Sometimes you gotta just hang out with your boys and make some jokes that make some boomers angry.
Okay, so speaking of our boys, Luke Hansen is here. Luke. What did you think of these goings on, my friend? He is the editor-in-chief of Ward Radio News, so I'm curious to see what he opines. He's been in the air on a 757.
Well, the problem is you're about to kick me off because you said I had to have good sound, and I'm literally walking through the Dulles airport right now.
Good enough.
So it probably doesn't sound the best.
Good enough.
My brief take on it is I think Alex is going to keep bringing this up. He's starting to show a pattern of bringing it up a lot. And I think eventually the Christian apologists are going to clue into that and have to start responding to it more. And either they're going to get better arguments or they're going to get exposed for the bad arguments they've been making. I'm looking at you, Mike Winger, quoting that poem that some guy who never met Oliver Cowdery wrote about Oliver denying something to do with the Book of Mormon, and using that as like, look, Oliver denied it. They all denied it. They did. I proved my case. It's not going to fly anymore, especially if Alex O'Connor keys into this and keeps using it. Your time doing that is done, guys. You're done. Okay, go read some books, go look at the sources, and come back to us. All right.
I'm looking forward to that exact dynamic. That's one of the reasons that I want to go and talk with a lot of the big atheists about this subject, because what it will do, we can arm the atheists against creedal Christianity, and then it forces the Christians to make these ignorant responses, and then we get to show up and just destroy them with all of the atheists standing in between going, the Mormons are right. We don't have a dog in this fight, but they're right. You guys are wrong. And all of a sudden, all of the atheists are on our team saying, hey, if you want to pick the most rational brand of Christianity, Mormonism's your choice, guys.
Wait, so how did I end up being the diplomat here who's like, there's Cardinellis on one side trying to say, look, we're all members of the body of Christ. We can all agree to disagree on some things that really aren't that important. Yeah, we should be a club. And then here's Jacob Hansen says, we're going to team up with the atheists to wreck these guys. You know, I'm saying
part of the problem is on my flight, I was finishing up the last third of Richard Lloyd Anderson's Investigating the Book of Mormon Witnesses book. And so the last part of the book is him responding to all of the arguments against them, like people trying to use sources against them. And so it got me fired up to be like, stop making stupid arguments.
Well, and one thing with this is if I ever have a chance to have another conversation with Alex, I also want him to know I'm not here to like go on and like, oh, I'm going to wreck all the Christians or something. I just want what I want for somebody like Alex and atheists. I want them to understand us in our strongest terms. That's it. I don't expect you to believe our claims. It's fine. But I just want you to understand the strongest arguments. And whoever Alex or these bigger atheists, if they go and talk with Latter-day Saints, I want them to talk to people who actually are like real members of the church who actually believe this stuff. Not like Dan McClellan, who like literally goes out and says like, I don't believe this. I don't ever talk about these beliefs. Like, talk with people who actually make the arguments, the best apologists, talk with the best theologians, talk with Blake Ostler, talk with Smoot or Boylan or, you guys, like talk with people that are actually in this, who know what they're talking about and who are actually represent what the broad majority of Latter-day Saints are like. Because if you go into some of the scholarship, oh man, the camera's off.
If you go into some of the scholarship, Greek marble statue behind you. Do you see that Greek marble statue behind you?
I need to get rid of that stupid
Yeah.
thing. That's actually a statue of Brigham Young, just like on my shirt. Oh, that's
there we go.
Brigham here. Brigham will get my camera back. Stupid thing.
Oh,
There,
see,
I'll
well,
pop
there
it
you
in my
go.
head. There you go.
There we go.
Okay, I need to get rid of that whenever I live stream.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but the point is, the first step isn't to go in and own the Christians. It's just to have people understand us in our strongest terms, which most people don't ever do. And the thing that was so refreshing about Alex is that he's willing to do that. He gives people a real fair shake. He's one of the most, like, it was shocking when I went and hung out with him at how just down to earth he was. He was like one of the boys. Like, it was great.
That's
And
good to
he
hear.
was
That's good to hear.
Super fun to hang out with.
We're just so used to uphill battles and getting treated so poorly by some of these people that, you're just kind of like, hey, somebody actually gave us a fair shake. It's like Thomas Sowell, who said some people have been so used to preferential treatment. When they get equal treatment, they view it as persecution. I think there's some people who are just so used to just getting straw man that when somebody actually just steel mans us, it's like going to a spa.
Yeah, that's literally why Pastor Jeff has this enormous following and channel, because it's like he's the first evangelical in the history of their entire movement who's ever been like, you know what if I actually listen to them and not just straw man everything that they say?
Yeah.
And we're just like, we love you, you're just so wonderful. Even though he's like, you do know I think your church is false and that you might go to hell for following this.
He can literally do a video like about why he thinks we're wrong. But because he's halfway decent about it, he will sell tickets and fill a stadium full of members of our church just to listen to him, because it's an evangelical that's not being cruel and bigoted. You know, it's
we Latter-day Saints will be your friend so quickly if you literally just not straw man us and crap all over everything we believe as if it's, if you just take it seriously, like, you have friends for life. You don't have to agree. You can crap on our religion. You can say we're totally wrong. We'll still be your friends just because we're like, thanks for not being a jerk.
Yeah. So thanks for not being a jerk. That's a new shirt that we should give out after debates with these people. Thanks for not being a jerk. So we're going to keep taking super chats here, guys. We're already 7 minutes into overtime, and we're going to stay. We're going to stay as long as we're getting super chats and able to respond to super chats. But the second the super chats stop, then we got to go, because Luke is getting ready for March for Life, if I'm not mistaken.
Tomorrow morning.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was working on some man on the street questions while the airplane was landing.
Ooh.
I'm going to go to different, because, they'll have signs like Catholics, this, and I think even some Jewish people. So I have little questions, and I'm going to go and ask them, what's the Catholic position on abortion? What's the Protestant rainbow of positions on abortion? What's the Jewish position? And then I'm going to ask them, what's the Mormon position? And we're going to see what the perception of us is on that topic.
Yeah.
Among other people involved in the movement.
Also, you just reminded me, I put out, oh, shoot. It was late. I was going to get you the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 for March for Life, but then I ended up getting so busy between the wildfires here and my business and this channel. I've been absolutely swamped. We unfortunately started 5 minutes late today, but I did put it on the Amazon wish list, so we'll get you on the next one. There's plenty of uses for it. But somebody did get the Osmo Pocket 3's magnetic mount and sent it to us off of the Amazon wish list. So thank you very much to Kyle N. Your generosity is very appreciated. And if you guys want to help support the channel, don't forget that you guys can buy merch. We have some really, really cool merch in the Ward Radio merch store. You can buy a shirt to support the channel, or you can get one of the infamous or infamous War in Heaven veteran hats, all available at wardradio.com, or you can help us out with equipment that we use in creating our content or in the studio through the Amazon wish list. And we're doing a better job now of reading out the thank yous for everybody who has given us equipment on the Amazon wish list. So we got 2 super chats here that we're going to read super fast. Luke, what do you got to say before we read the super chats?
Briefly, one more thing on the pro-life stuff. A little before I took off, I saw that Trump had just pardoned 23 peaceful pro-life protesters.
Oh.
Which I think is absolutely amazing.
Were they
The
fiery but
grannies
peaceful
and
protests?
Grannies and dads. A couple of them were like trying to block a late-term abortion facility. I think, if I know it right, but a couple of them were just
God
like,
bless.
there's some law passed that's absolutely ridiculous, but it's basically like if you're standing too close to it and trying to pray for people, you can get arrested. And that was some of the people that were involved in this. So I think a prayer of gratitude is in order from us who care about life for that happening. But yeah. All right, super chats.
All right, super chats. Here we go. Cardin, your joke about Mary compensating for being, quote, knocked up was actually an argument some Romans made. If I remember correctly, it was Pliny. I know it's called Pliny the Elder or Pliny the something, right? And by the way,
I think it's Pliny.
Pliny? Okay, I didn't make that. That was actually Jacob Hansen who made that reference. And are you aware of Pliny's or Pliny's?
I don't know about him specifically, but it was I know that they're since the beginning. I mean, if you go back and look at some of the earliest apologetics against, or it'd be polemics against Christianity. I mean, yeah, that's what they were saying. They were like, obviously this lady like got knocked up and she didn't, it's, again, you can caricature any religion. It's very, very easy to do.
And another reason why I always think it's interesting reading anti-Mormon content, but I also think it's really interesting reading anti-Christian content from the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd centuries, because it blows my mind how much anti-Christian content from the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd centuries mimics anti-Latter-day Saint content in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd centuries of our faith. Like the Ruslan KDs are no different than the Greco-Roman era philosophers who simply just wanted to mock people offhand by saying, oh yeah, well, we don't consider them Christians out here. And they'll talk about them, but not with them. And just the absolute utter scoffery. And when forced to say, oh wait, no, actually, hold on a second. You know, people are dying out there for your belief in this guy who wasn't resurrected. People don't die for beliefs unless there's like mental illness involved. And that might explain a couple of people, but not the 1,500 people in the book of Acts that say they saw it all together, not the 500 people over here, not the 400 people over there. Like, hold on a second. And yes, I know somebody's going to clip me and say, it wasn't really 1,500, it was 500, whatever. You get what I'm saying, right? So, after Wes Huff got lambasted for saying like 99.9% when, Dan McClellan says it's 93.5, and that became like a whole topic of conversation for a 3-hour podcast.
Alex, by the way, Alex made a joke about that. He was talking about his belief in God, and he was like, he said something along the lines of like, he's like, you know what? People ask me what will make me believe in God. He's like, if the Isaiah scroll was 97% instead of 95, that would have done it. That would have got me over the edge.
Yeah. So second to last super chat for you, Jacob, says Elder E asks, are Jacob and Kwaku still beefing since the debate? LOL. So you beefing with our boy Kwaku?
Kwaku and I are buddies. I mean, Kwaku and I disagree.
Has it come to fisticuffs? No.
No. Kwaku... No,
are you going to wrestle him too? He was going to wrestle.
I'll wrestle him any day.
In a sumo suit.
Kwaku, here's the thing, you guys. Kwaku has got like a beach body that like all the ladies love, but I wouldn't call it like in his weight class. He probably would do very well. I'm not in Kwaku's weight class. Just like Kwaku fighting against you.
Are you lighter than him or are you heavier than him?
Oh my gosh. Of course.
No, seriously.
Of course I'm heavier. I'm like way heavier. He probably weighs $130. I'm like,
how tall are you?
I'm trying to get down under 180 for a jiu-jitsu tournament I'm doing.
Okay, sorry, I don't know these. You're all midgets. I'm 6'6" almost, nearly 300 pounds. Like, oh no, he's 130, he's 180. I eat breakfast larger than both of you. You know what I'm saying? Just...
I sat next to a guy about as tall as you in my flight, and I felt so bad for him.
Just like, literally,
yeah, that's terrible.
I can only fly JetBlue and coach because I've measured from my knee to the back of my femur where my butt is, and it's not the space from the back of the seat to the next seat in a 757 jumbo.
You got a man spread, Cardin.
Yeah, but then when I do, I'm halfway into the
trigonometry
aisle.
In there.
Yeah, exactly. It's horrible. So it's either
tripping all the stewardesses.
Yeah, or stewards. or whatever we're supposed to
They're
call
flight attendants now.
flight attendants.
FBPC
Yeah.
guys.
All right.
Okay, so Jacob
Sorry,
and Kwaku.
My patriarchy showing.
Yeah, Jacob and Kwaku are not beefing, which is good to hear. Good to hear. Although I think we do need to spread the wrestling match love. Kwaku's down. He wanted to box. You know, he was going to box
I'd box
Forrest
Kwaku.
there.
I'll box or wrestle Kwaku. We'll make it a good show.
I'll box you, dog.
Yeah, I'll box you.
No. Yeah, right.
I'll be down.
Can we hold heads? Can we hold the head while you swing? You know what I'm saying?
Let's do it. I'm pretty down to do that kind of stuff.
No, actually, what's funny is ask any tall guy out there. We do not mock the guys shorter than us, because what you like, it's actually very advantageous. Like, we're all very aware walking through crowds how many vital organs are much closer to punches and jabs and elbows. Like, when you play basketball, when you're playing, you want to play against a guy your size. Like, if you're 6'5", you kind of almost hope that you're up against a 6'5" guy, because there's some advantages when you're up against, like, you know, let's just say the 5'11" dude. Okay. But there's some disadvantages too. Like, you trip over these little munchkins. It's like the little gerbils running around on the court and you can't see them. You know what I'm saying? And then also when they are swinging those elbows, it's right in your gut. It's right in your groin, and you'll go up to jump and like to dunk. And the next thing you know, their head hits you in the, you know, it's just, there's so many different, it's asymmetrical warfare. That's what it is. It's asymmetrical warfare. And you can't underestimate how you are advantaged despite being shorter. And last super chat right here says, my planet has I think that's rings. Anyway. Oh, the irony that Joseph Smith is one of the best witnesses of the resurrected Jesus Christ. Oh.
Yes, it is. It is ironic. The Christians also got to realize that if those 19 witnesses of the gold plates are legit, that also means there's 19 witnesses that support the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So that's nice.
Samuel Skeen also
Sorry to
brings
cut
up,
off that awesome thought. I'm going to head out right now, okay?
Get out of here, bro.
All righty. See you later.
man. See ya.
See you guys.
So Samuel Skeen also threw in a last super chat, says, imagine if our current prophet followed Joseph Smith's recreational activities, he'd be Ruslan Nelson. That is funny. Okay, 30 seconds for your last super chats, guys. 30 seconds. If we get another super chat, we'll read it before we go. But you got 30 seconds here before we get out of here. But yeah, that is really, really funny. And it's wild. People don't really realize how very successful these guys were. They've been apostles for so long that we kind of forget that Dallin H. Oaks was queued up to be a Supreme Court justice. Like, he was on the fast track towards judicial, you know, fame. Russell M. Nelson, straight up inventing like heart mechanisms and heart surgeries and groundbreaking medical techniques that are now commonplace today. Like, the dude's career path was already way laid out and already super successful before bowing out to do what he thought was more important, which was indeed church service.
And speaking of physical specimens, so Joseph B. Worthlin, he passed away. He was an apostle when we were young. He was a running back at the University of Utah.
What?
Yeah, he was a tough dude, man.
Wait, Worthlin? Like, look at you, kind of weird side-eye Worthlin? Like, super nice grandpa Worthlin? Like,
yeah,
doesn't seem like he hurt anybody?
Like grandpa, man. But dude, back in the day, apparently he was running people over.
He was a bruiser?
Yeah, running back.
Have you ever seen that episode we did where Who Has More Riz, and Brittany the Shadow rated which one of the young men's pictures of the prophets had the most riz? And some of them, like Spencer W. Kimball, I think it was, one of them was in a cowboy hat. Who was the one that was in the cowboy hat?
You're talking about like when they were young?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Had riz when they were younger?
Yeah, it was.
I gotta see if I can find a Joseph B. Worthlin one that Joseph B. Worthlin. Young. I'm just gonna look like in his younger years. Oh, dude, he was a handsome devil.
Yeah, great. Now I gotta look.
Bro, he had some riz. Just Google Joseph Worthlin and then just put the word young in, like when he was younger, and you can see it. He's got this one where he's next to this chick in a car.
Oh my gosh, I see it.
See if you can put that one on the
Dude,
screen.
that
Look at this guy. This guy's
handsome-
got the riz, dude.
That handsome devil. Wait a second. Open image in new tab. It's tiny, so I'm going to pull it up. Hold on. I'm going to make it full screen right here for everybody so they can see it. But there is Elder Joseph B. Worthlin. Man, he was a good-looking guy, dude.
He was.
That looks like
girl,
a
that girl in that car. Do you have the picture of the girl? The girl in
Yeah,
the car? I can't
totally.
see on
With the
screen.
big like sunbonnet.
Yeah, dude. He's got the ladies around him and running the football at the University of Utah.
Jeez, man. Throwing
The
around
Lord's
the pigskin.
anointed right there.
That's funny.
telling
That's
you,
awesome.
I'm telling you, you go back and look at our like forebears, some of them, like those guys, some of those guys were like Joseph Smith himself. He liked to wrestle and like scrap with people until his brother. Oh my gosh. So you know that Joseph got beat up by his brother William?
What? Really?
Like, so badly that like they got in a fight with each other and it ended up going like fisticuffs and his younger brother beat him.
Whoa,
And that was the
really?
big deal. Yeah. William Smith beat up Joseph Smith once so badly that Joseph I think he for a few days couldn't go out. Like it was kind of a big deal. They eventually made up and were friends again. Also, crazy story I just found out. So I've been reading Joseph Smith's history in a ton of detail. I've been reading Lucy Mack's history. Coolest story. So they end up after Joseph produces the Book of Mormon. There are a bunch of people that are going after him and his family, kind of after their debts, right?
Okay,
so they used to let the Smiths pay on goods instead of in cash.
Yeah,
and then the people started just to be jerks because they were this family is full of a bunch of basically religious bigotry. They start going after them for their debts and they start calling them in. And so one day Lucy's at the house by herself. And these guys come and are sorry, you owe us money. We're going to start taking your stuff. And so they go in and start taking stuff, ransacking the house. And William Smith was a little bit nuts. Okay. There's a lot of crazy stories about him. This one's awesome. I think it's hilarious. He goes in and he's like, Mom, what the heck are these guys doing? He's 19 years old. And she's like, yeah, they're taking our stuff. He's like, the hell they are. And he goes and he grabs some sharp knife or some axe or something. And he goes up and he's like, it's either going to be me or you, dude. You want to take the stuff? And they're like, ah! And he chases a group of guys out of their house with an axe. And he's like, you're not taking our stuff.
Get out of town. Wait, who is this again?
Lucy. So Lucy tells the story of this happening and what her son, William Smith.
Yeah, this is the
did
younger
when he
brother.
got home. Yeah, Joseph's younger brother.
So how come we don't hear more about William? It's all about Hiram.
William didn't follow the Saints out west. He stayed with Emma and them. Although there was a time where he was going to follow the Saints out west. He was kind of torn. And anyway, William is actually, he's kind of crazy, and he was kind of crazy his whole life. He was kind of the wild one amongst the Smith clan.
Okay.
But anyway, it was funny.
Okay, and then last question here is, I assume that a lot of these are stories that you've gained access to and that you've come across because of this new project you're working on.
Yes.
Right?
So everyone should know. Hopefully, I'm hoping in the next month or so to release it, so I can start with the first 3 episodes. I'm doing what I'm hoping to put together is the equivalent of the rough stone rolling of the YouTube world. I'm going to tell the story of Joseph Smith over an 8-part series from the historical perspective, not pulling any punches. I'm going to tell the story as I know it and as the primary sources I've researched have done it. I've dug into all the anti-sources. I'm reading Vogel and his stuff. I'm reading Bushman. I'm reading Fawn Brody. I'm reading Lucy Smith's own writings on it. I'm reading Joseph's history, and I'm comparing all of them to get the best approximation as to what happened. And then I'm just going to tell the story. So that as you study Doctrine and Covenants, or if anybody wants to know, what was the real historical story, they can sit down and over the course of, I don't know, the total number of hours, I'll guess it's probably going to come out to be 3 hours, 3.5, 4 hours. In 4 hours, you can go from birth to death. And now you know, that's what he did. That's what his life is. That's his story. All the details, all the relevant things. And so I'm hoping to release that. At least the first 3 episodes, I'm hoping in the next month or 2. And then throughout the rest of the year, I'll release the rest of them as part of your context for your Come Follow Me and And
wow. Now you've got some
Doctrine and
heavy
Covenants.
hitter historians helping you out on this, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes,
right?
I
This
do
isn't
actually.
just-
I'm working closely with Don Bradley on it. He's acting as a consultant. Now, just so everyone knows, I'm getting Don involved just to kind of make sure, like I check with him to make sure I'm not making any stupid mistakes. But there may be things that there's a point of disagreement between me and Don where I keep something in. So I don't want people to think that Don is like endorsing and like producing this and this is Don's
Well,
work.
he's doing a better job for you than Lindsay Hansen Park is doing for Under the Banner of Heaven and American Primeval, right? That's what you're saying, right?
Yes. Actually, I'm also going to probably consult with interestingly enough with Steve Pinecker. Because he comes from an outsider perspective, not a believing Latter-day Saint, and he knows a lot more than other people realize, and he knows kind of the best of the anti-Mormon arguments, and so I kind of want him to give me his feedback as well, and then I'm going to kind of combine all the different views of the historians and the records and all this stuff to try and, again, I'm not going to get in the weeds on all the things. I'm just going to tell the story. Like, what the heck happened? And go year by year by year, all the way through what was happening, who was involved, why were they involved, what was going on. And by the end of it, it's kind of like my goal is that it'll be as if you walked with Joseph Smith through his life. Like you were there with him and you went through all the experiences, you saw the things, and then now you can make up your mind. Like, what do you think about this guy?
Okay, awesome. Well, his name is Jacob Hansen. He doesn't have a book we can pub yet, but hopefully that's coming sometime soon. He's got a great series that's coming out, so make sure you subscribe. Tell them where they can find you. Give out all your deets, bro.
Yeah, just go to, I would suggest on YouTube, just look up Thoughtful Faith, hit the subscribe button. That's probably the easiest way. You can also check out thoughtfulfaith.org. On there, I also have opportunities if people want to get involved in my channel. They can do that. Oh, real quick plug. If you are a Latter-day Saint woman who is tired of all the insanity on TikTok and Instagram, and you want to help us debunk it, I have a Latter-day Saint women's program that I'm looking at formulating, and I'm looking for Latter-day ladies who want to potentially get involved and help in that process. So if you're interested in that, go to the website, thoughtfulfaith.org, click on the Get Involved button, and then you'll be able to submit an application to potentially get involved with helping us with that project.
All right. Or if you're a transgender woman who would like to get involved as well, Jacob's huge on rights. He scored a lot of points with the LGBT community over the past 2 or 3 years. So reach out as well. I think that'd be a winner. So I hope all of these projects that you mention, I hope they go well because they sound intriguing. And I would say Tikla Fife, one of the women of Ward Radio, one of the women on the Women of Ward Radio, said something very interesting in one of their podcasts recently, that we lack so much symbolic literacy. And I think that's true. I also think we just lack so much historical literacy of our own narratives. We're allowed to adopt this normie, secular, like religion is harmful, all priests are abusive, you're stupid if you believe, you know, what you kind of call Dan McClellanism, I think you called it. It's something, whatever. I don't espouse the same views on him that you do, but you've been very vocal about, what's the phrase I'm looking for here, man? I call it you're stupid if you believe. You actually
I just
gave
call
it
what, Dan McClellan, like that you're an atheist?
No,
who
you
doesn't
said
believe
that,
in any of the true claims of Christianity or the church? Like
there
that?
was a phrase that you had, and you know how when there's a really cool phrase that's the academic phrase for the colloquialism, but you
what
sound
does it describe?
smarter. It kind of just this knee-jerk assumption that you're stupid if you believe. Like for example, people will say like, well, that's ad hominem, instead of saying like, that guy's a dick, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. So whatever, we can move on because I'm wrapping this up anyway. But thank you very much, everybody that super chatted us thus far. Thank you, Jonah, LDS Response, Luke, a yak named Mac, LDS Peregrine, Read It, Book of Mormon, Roy Anderson, Prodigal Son, Matt, Polly Nikes, Chai, and everybody else who participated. Thanks for hanging out with us here. Just a reminder, guys, you can support the channel by buying a War in Heaven veteran hat or by purchasing merch inside of the in the merch store at wardradio.com. If you haven't liked this live stream yet, please make sure you like it before you leave. Forward it to your friends, anybody that's interested in, who knows, atheism, responses to atheism, Alex O'Connor, the whole 9 yards. Make sure you guys check out our boy here, Jacob Hansen at Thoughtful Faith. And as always, it's been real, it's been fun, and it's been real fun. For this and more, please make sure you check us out at wardradio.com.
I built a rocket in my basement. I'm gonna fly it to the moon. This supersonic is amazing. You're gonna feel my sonic boom. I'm flying higher and I'm never coming down. Look at me now. Look at me now. Look at me. We brought the funk into this function. Yeah. We show up dressing to the nines. Okay.